All right, so who here, by the way, who here knows about Penpot? Anyone knows about Penpot? Okay. So thank you. For those of you who don't know about Penpot, Penpot is the design tool that brings designers and developers together. So this is to design UX, UI. So if you're building webs, apps, software in general, and there is some user interface, you probably need one of these. Typically, this is a blind spot for developers, and so it is that particular reason that made our company to develop Penpot, and it's open source. It's using the MPL 2.0 license. So it is a beautiful software. Of course, you want to build beautiful tools, you need beautiful software to do so. And if anyone's considering, okay, but what is the equivalent in proprietary software, then the answer is pretty straightforward. That is Figma. Anyone here knows Figma? Okay, yeah. Or Sketch in the past, or Adobe XD got cancelled. And officially, 3 years ago, officially just this year. So here we are. We have the open source design tool for both designers and developers, and it's open source. So let's discuss business models. So we have, I've been doing open source for 25 years now, a bit more than that, and there's always this question, and we have this, commented before this day, the quest for an open source business model, but of course, that is probably not the right way to frame this. Is there a quest for an open source model? Is there an open source business model? The answer is, of course, not. But I'm here to discuss with you, what is the business model in the first place? And basically, the business model is this tension between value creation and value capture. To the gentleman that asked a question earlier, you create value, you give people something that allows them to do something. They can measure that in some way, that is value creation, abstract. And then you capture some of the value that they are creating. And so the business model is a way to resolve this equation. So you can see it as a ratio, how much value you're actually capturing from the value you are creating. And this is a business model. Like in essence, this is the business model. And so I'll give you an example, restaurant, or I think you, let me see. So you go to a restaurant, and you have some value created for you, right? You have a wonderful meal, hopefully, and you have the location also, where you're going, what you're actually going to do next, probably, the music, the atmosphere, the service, all of that is value creation. They're creating value for you. And in your mind, you are implicitly making some assessments about how much value they're creating for you. But then there comes the time for the bill. You ask for the bill, and you see the value capture moment there. There is the restaurant is saying, okay, I created some value for you, now I'm capturing some value. And you do that tension equation there. You do that ratio. And what's interesting is that you have to feel it is fair. To the value creation that you got, what is so much that they are capturing. And it's, you see, they're using different units. You're giving money and you're getting food, nutrition, feeling, experiences. So it's not even, as a physicist, we have some issues with that ratio because units don't match, but you get the idea, right? And it's also actually quite funny because if it's too cheap, then you also have this tension, psychological tension. Oh, it's too cheap. Perhaps the value creation was not that great. And you have this reverse thought of, it was not that good. No, it wasn't that good. So it has a psychological tension also going on. And we do this all the time. We have value creation for us, and there's some value capture, and we do this tension. We feel this tension. Now, the thing is that software has a bigger tension because it is more difficult to measure value creation because it's kind of fluid. So this tension has many ways to get resolved. But basically, the way proprietary software has solved this is that in abstract, we're going to capture value as a 10% of the value we created. And this has worked so fine for a long time. So if you feel that you're paying 10% of the value you feel they're creating for you, thanks to using the tool, you're fine. Psychologically, cognitively, you're fine. Are you following me? This is, okay, this makes sense? Okay. This is great because detail operates at scale. And this is also great for proprietary software companies because the subscription models hijack our psychological measure. Subscription models, like a monthly basis or a yearly fee, do play with this 10%. So they might actually ask you for a 1% month, and then you feel 1% is okay, but then if you add up over time, long time value capture, it might be actually more. It depends. So subscription models are very much something to take into account and how they tweak this 10%. So it feels 10%, but it's actually going to be more than that over time. So this is the proprietary software tension resolved as 10%. Open source software works differently. Open source software actually considered as creating so much value to people that won't ever be paying back or contributing back anything, that you have to think more in terms of the not 1%. So the detail also operates at scale, and you have the option there to, okay, if I'm not going to capture so much value, perhaps what I have to do is to create so much value that even that tiny percent is a lot of money, or whatever you have as value capturing unit. And this is where open source typically focuses in value creation. Is, okay, I'm going to win globally. I'm going to win over the world. So I'm not so much concerned about that 0.1%, but actually it's going to be a lot because of the value I'm creating. So that ratio still works for me. And open source has this very low friction in terms of adoption, so bottom-up adoption works great for open source. Similarly to subscription models for proprietary software, tweaking that cognitive bias, here open source uses bottom-up adoption. Now, I've been discussing value creation, but what about added value services? Now that you understand value in various ways. Added value services. And I want to share with you that we have, if you go to I'm creating value through product or I'm creating value through services, you have this magical quadrant thing. And you get companies like UPS that will do a lot of services, but really not much value creation around product. Then you have Salesforce that does a bit of both. Then you have Acrobat Reader, which is basically no value capturing, value capturing on either product or services. And then a video game like Baldur's Gate 3. Any fun here? Baldur's Gate 3? Yeah. That is a classical video game in the sense that they're capturing value through product. You pay for the video game, but there are not actually any services around. So you have that. This is the traditional proprietary software model. So you can think of companies that you know and try to put them into that chart. What about open source? Well, we have companies like Canonical that will do less value capture on terms of product, but a lot around services. You have Red Hat, which is a bit of both, and GitLab that goes more in terms of product, less on services, and then zillions of open source products that do nothing, like no value capture on services, no value capture on products. Now, this is the Penpot plan. Now you have a bit of a context. The Penpot plan is this one. We want our most feature-complete offer to be fully open source, and we don't want our value capture strategy to be dependent on services. So this creates a brutal tension, because we don't want to capture value from the open source product, and we don't want to capture value from added value services. So if we don't want to capture value from services, then the upper part gets like forbidden. Then we don't want to capture value from products, so that gets also away. Then are we left with this big question mark on the zillion of open source products that are there, capturing value neither from services nor product? So some of you, or mostly probably all of you, know about the open core business model. And basically open core business model says that you will capture value through the product, placing a paywall, strategically placing a paywall by which you unlock a path from basic to advanced. And at Penpot, we were asking ourselves, could it be reversed? Could you actually put a paywall so that you go from advanced, so the most advanced product, to the most basic product? Would someone actually pay for that? To pay to get less instead of more? So we reframed, of course, this apparent reverse path. And instead of going from advanced to basic through a paywall, we decided to go from freedom to control through a paywall. This is the way we hijack this reverse paywall. We want the most advanced and free in the sense of you are able to do whatever you want with Penpot. The best product possible for free, open source license, and then you pay to limit that. And this is what we call the Open Nitrate Model. You pay to limit the freedom of the users that use our open source product. If you want to control, you pay. If you want to control a lot of people, you pay a lot. If you want to control a lot of people a lot, you pay a lot. Okay? So, Open Nitrate Model, we capture value from the need to govern how people use the product, not from the usage itself, which remains free as a general rule. In other words, we build an amazing open source product, and then we separately build the means to control it. So if we go to the magical quadrant, we actually build two products. One placed on the no, the minus, and one on the plus. And that is a proprietary product. The proprietary product's raison d'être is basically to control the open source product, nothing else. Now we're going to play a quick game. I'm going to share some features that we are building or we already built at Penpot. And we have two options. Does it go to Penpot or does it go to Pentax, which is the proprietary product? And also as a photograph amateur, I like that name, Pentax. It's not an official name, by the way. It's just for the game. So you're going to play with me. It is so late now that you probably are not going to play a lot with me today, but I'm going to pretend like you are voting, okay? But there's 5 examples, I think, that we have here. So, feature, unlimited teams, unlimited users, and unlimited projects. What do you think? Is it Penpot or Pentax? Penpot, of course. Of course it's Penpot. This is advanced, this is freedom, this is unlimited. This has to be Penpot. Penpot plugins whitelist. So this is deciding which plugins you can install. Pentax. Of course, you are limiting and controlling the freedom of the user. You're saying only those plugins are allowed in this organization or in this team. Someone decides beforehand what is available or not for you. Advanced options to share Penpot projects and Penpot libraries across teams. Penpot, of course. Advanced options already was telling us the solution here. If it has advanced, probably means Penpot. Enforcing design systems and design libraries as the only source of truth. Pentax, of course. You're deciding, sorry, you're not able to create any new design system component. This is the only design system you're allowed. So we are limiting your ability to use Penpot normally. What is that? What is an ambulance or something? Okay. Access to designs, code, and spec capabilities for developers. Penpot has to be. This is freedom, this is for developers, this is the advanced features, this is cool, by the way. This is native to Penpot, it has to be Penpot. Team-based feature flag management. Pentax. Designing on the storage layer for a Penpot file. For instance, saying that that is going to be a Git repository. Penpot. And finally, limiting the number of design tokens a Penpot file can have. yeah, I don't know who would like to even limit this, but if you want to limit something, then it has to be Pentax. All right, but we have this framework, so where we said, okay, can we have a system by which we ask ourselves questions when we have this feature so that we know that we're not making a mistake? That if we should be building it for Penpot instead of Pentax? Can we ask ourselves like some check, killer question check? And we came up with these 3 questions. So whenever the team is thinking, perhaps this would have to be part of Pentax, we say, wait a minute. Will this capability limit the arrival of new users to get to know and use Penpot? So if we move these to Pentax, will this happen? New users will have some issue by removing it from Penpot? Are we harming this? If we say no, there's no issue moving this to Pentax, say, okay, next question. Will this capability particularly benefit the advanced user? So we're getting this feature moving from Penpot to Pentax. Will this capability particularly benefit the advanced user, and therefore it is in Pentax and not in Penpot? And we say, no, there's no issue with that. There's no point. So we say, okay, second no, we're good. And finally, is this capability relatively trivial to build? And if the answer is no, then we have 3 no's. And if we have 3 no's, of course, we have a nitrate, which is how this model was coined. Because this means that that feature can go to Pentax. Otherwise, it will stay in Penpot. If it is not harming the arrival of new users, if it's not harming the experience of advanced users, and it's not trivial to build, so the community can actually build it, then it's fine if we move it to Pentax. So there is an overlap with OpenCore. I'm not going to say they're completely separate products. It is true that OpenCore model goes more in terms of basic to medium, paywall, advanced in various degrees, where Open Nitrate is more the standard product is actually the most advanced, and that is open source, and then you build things to limit it, to control it, to restrict, to govern, to make decisions on behalf of other people, for whatever reasons. It might be actually a good reason to do that in some organizations. But there are some overlap in this. There will be features that someone would say, oh, actually, that decision belongs to Open Core model, and you could argue also that that could also belong to Open Nitrate model. So can an Open Nitrate model be applied to all commercial open source? I think it's unlikely. But I think it's equally right to say that a tool like Penpot, an end-user-facing productivity tool for teams building things, perhaps can abide by an Open Nitrate model. After all, Penpot is one of those tools where you can own the conversations with the end user. The end user is no longer just the hacker. The end user is anyone. It could be anyone, can be a Penpot user. And by having and owning that conversation directly with your users, you can perhaps explore different business models because you have a more concrete idea of the value capture and the value creation tension that is going on. So this is what we are building at Penpot, and I hope you encourage us to continue to explore new business models in this age. And that was my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pablo. Any questions?